1st of April 2020 to 31st of January 2021, and ask the executive to note the content. The report advises members of the progress on individual schemes within the approved capital programme, including an assessment of their financial position. All of the capital projects are within the approved budgets. A summary of the capital programme is shown in exempt Appendix A. The award of contracts is subject to the Council's procurement rules on competitive tendering, and therefore the allocated budget is commercially sensitive. Appendix C gives members an overview of the total remaining Section 106 deposits, with some details around the purpose and conditions for each amount received. Appendix D gives members an overview of the spend from the Community Housing Reserve since 2017-18 and the remaining balance. This is split by individual project. And just to round off, I'll give you some news, which is regarding the Green Homes Grant. The deadline for delivery of the 2021 scheme has been extended from 31st of March to the 30th of June in recognition of the difficulties faced in delivering the scheme during the pandemic. And I'm also pleased to confirm that we have been successful in securing a further Green Homes Grant allocation for 21-22 of £600,000. Thank you, Leader.
Excellent news. Thank you, Councillor Basta. Right, any questions from the executive on any of this? No? Throw it open to the floor then, if nobody on the executive wants to ask any questions. Councillor O'Callaghan.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, it's on, there's a investing in Kingsbridge section 3.8, where we're told that officers are working up housing layouts and viability, I think it was, and a report is due in the summer on council-owned land at Rope Walk, which was news to me as a ward member. Now, Councillor Basta earlier congratulated Kingsbridge Town Council on its input on the housing strategy document. Took a lot of time and trouble to actually comment on this. Now, I would like some assurances that the town council and the community in Kingsbridge will actually, on the ground, rather than just a report, have some sort of say in the future of its town, and in particular affordable housing and sites which the public has a stake in. I've not been happy, and nor have my other ward member been happy, at the lack of consultation and partnership working with the community and with ourselves on schemes on council-owned land in the town. And I would like to know that there will be consultation at this very early stage and liaison with the town council, and not just a report coming out in the summer with nobody actually knowing anything about it in the meantime, because this happens over and over again, that we just get presented with things in a sort of paternalistic fashion, and it's not the way I would hope to see things working, and I know it's not the way the town council wants to see things working. So we need more than just words of congratulations on a report. We need actually proper liaison and consultation in the community. So that's a rather long-winded question and some comments included to Councillor Batson.
Thank you, Councillor O'Callaghan. Yes, of course we will be consulting with Kingsbridge Town Council, and which we always have done in the past. Maybe we've been a bit late sometimes consulting with them, but we have always consulted them, and we will do so with this report. I see no reason why we shouldn't. And of course, we'll try and involve you and your fellow district councillor as well.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear it, and I'll hold you to that. I know you mentioned Dartmouth Council. I was reading in the paper today that I know you've got issues with your own town council, so I hope we don't. I hope we don't have similar issues in Kingsbridge.
Councillor O'Callaghan, that 3.8 does say that this will be a report on options, so it's not a final report or anything like that. So I'm sure there'll be consultation beforehand, but it's only on the options available to the council to do something on that land.
Councillor Pearce, I think I've learnt that one must strike early.
Yes, fine, right. Any further questions? Right, Councillor Basta, would you like to move the recommendations, please?
I'll move the recommendation that's on the screen with the executive notes the content of the monitoring report of the capital programme.
Thank you. Okay, it's been seconded. Members of the executive, does anybody want to comment on this report? So I'll open it to the floor. Does anybody else want to comment on this paper? No, I can't see anything coming up. In which case, let's move to the vote. Members of the executive, are you happy to endorse that recommendation? Yes? Looks like everybody's saying yes. I can't see anybody dissenting. Right, thank you very much. That's unanimous too. Now, item 10, public space protection order. Councillor Batson, you've got one paper off. This is Councillor Hawkins. Councillor Hawkins, please.
Woof, woof.
Thank you, Leader. Hopefully everybody has read the report. I would like to thank Honey Foskett and Catherine Bowen for all the hard work and effort they have put into this. We had an order passed in 2017. The dog control order has now expired. We are required by law to review every 3 years, and this is where we now are. We undertook a public consultation that ran from 1st of June to 31st of July 2020 and received 310 responses, which indicated majority support for the recommendations made in this report, which were carry the means to pick up and to actually do the job. And as a responsible dog owner, as most of you know, I've always got poo bags in my pocket of all my coats, so I certainly do that, and I have great difficulty and can't understand why people don't actually do this. To keep dogs on leads on land designated as dogs on lead areas. Comply to put and keep dogs on leads if so directed by an authorised officer. Prevent dogs from accessing a dog exclusion zone, which is not a beach. Prevent dogs from accessing specified beaches designated at times as a dog exclusion zone. In brief, we are looking to maintain the status quo by applying the national standard that has been in place across the district since the first dog control order, which was passed in 2014. There are 4 exceptions. Courtney Park, where dogs will be required to be on leads at all times. This is because of a material change of use from an open space to a children's play area, which isn't enclosed. This site is owned by Southampton District Council, and I know the leader and Councillor Long opened that fantastic new play area last year. South Sands, Salcombe, where there will be a timed exclusion, excluding dogs during the summer months, except to allow dogs on leads to cross the beach to access the town via the ferry, which is serving that beach. This site is also owned by Southampton District Council. Motherwell Sands, Hope Cove, where there will be a timed exclusion, excluding dogs during the summer months. This site is in private ownership, but as we operate a pay and display parking facility in Hope Cove, we have the resources in Hope Cove to patrol and enforce this area. Part of Bigbury Beach, where there will be a dog exclusion restriction in place throughout again the summer months. On one side,
Somebody's not on mute.
On one side of the lifeguard zone area, where dogs are permitted on the other side, where we expect responsible people to pick up. The national standard to pick up will apply on all other beaches. Where landowners wish to apply a higher standard on private owned beaches, they will have the right to do so. This is up to them and not for us as a council to imply. Similarly, where publicly accessible open areas are in private ownership and the landowners wish to apply a higher standard, for example, on Marlborough playing fields that is owned and managed by Marlborough Village Hall, and the Playing Fields Association, which run the playing fields there. They also have to do so with their own resources, and our officers will not be doing that area. We are not looking to introduce a limit to the number of dogs that can be walked by any one person. We are looking to make it mandatory for a dog owner to carry the means to pick up. As I say, and most of us, I'm sure, who have dogs, we already do. The order will not apply on Forestry Commission land or on Dartmoor National Park common land. The order provides a framework with which whole communities can enjoy facilities which, being mindful of other users with different goals, and provides our localities team with a uniform set of standards across the South Hams district that will make enforcement straightforward. And I trust the executive will support this and move this order to the council this afternoon. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. I'll have a question from Councillor Baldry.
Yes, Leader. I will come to a comment when we get into the main debate, but I'm fairly thick-skinned. If you tell me that's all right, don't need to know. I just do not understand Appendix 2. I've looked at Appendix 2. It seems to me it's a series of X's unrelated to the narrative. For example, if I look at lines 52 onwards, it says see Butts Park, and I look across the column where the X's appear. That is about reduced beach timing, so Butts Park is not on the beach. But if I don't need to understand it, don't waste time trying to explain it to me.
Yeah, I have to say, Councillor Baldry, it was a it's slightly impenetrable for me too. But should we concentrate on the substance of the report? You can always find out about that afterwards if you want to.
I've got
Councillor Hawkins.
Sorry, Leader. I do have a reply to that question.
Please
if you wish me to make
it.
Yeah,
no, that's fine. Carry on, yes.
As we've already said, Marlborough playing fields require...
Chairman, I'm talking about Appendix 2. I'm not talking about Butts Park.
No, I think it's this this spreadsheet with lots of X's in it that is
spreadsheet. Someone's been playing noughts and crosses but forgot to put the noughts on.
Yeah. Councillor Baldry, I don't think that it makes.
I'll leave it, Leader.
Yes, you can leave it till afterwards.
Take me by the hand and read it out to me and explain it. Yes, thank you.
Councillor Hodgson, I did request that the executive put their hands up and everybody else should put something in the chat box if they want to speak. But I presume you want to ask a question if you've got your hand up. But you were meant to have it in the chat box instead. But
oh, sorry, I've only just joined the meeting. I had something else I was
right, but it's the usual procedure. Okay,
yeah, I just wanted to say on point A, I think that's a little bit, I mean, I think we all know what it means, but I think we might need to name it. And I would say it means to pick up and to pick up dog waste, because otherwise it could be translated as to pick up your dog. You know, so somebody who's you know, sort of saying, well, I comply with it, I just pick the dog up. You know, I'm just being, I mean, I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but I think maybe we need to be specific if we're actually coming up with a, you know, an actual dog control order. That's all.
Okay. In that case, let's get that amended for council. And I've got Honey Foskett, who says that she can explain the spreadsheet to you, Councillor Baldry. So
I'm listening.
Thank you, Darryl. That's great. Pick up dog waste. That's fine. Thank you. Councillor Baldry, do you want the spreadsheet explained to you? Because I
don't want to waste time on it. If I'm the only person who can't understand it, let's leave it. But it would have been helpful if it had been clearer.
All right.
Can I suggest Honey Foskett contacts Keith Baldry, Councillor Baldry, at a later date?
That's what I was hoping.
She can email all members with a short explanation. Councillor Rowe has got a question.
Well, yes, I was going to say it's exactly the same as Councillor Baldry has said. All those spreadsheets have got XXX spread all over them with no explanation whatsoever. It only needed to X equals whatever. That would have been fine.
We will ensure that's in place for the council meeting.
Yeah, well, let's ask Mrs. Foskett if she could come in now and give us a very brief explanation of what the X's mean, please.
Thank you. We can't be the only one.
Right. Honey, are you going to tell us?
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to unmute my mic. I beg your pardon. Okay. Leader, what I said was I could refine the spreadsheet very quickly, which I will do, and I will circulate a summary of it to all members this afternoon.
That's great, thank you. Councillor Taylor, you've got a question. We've moved the recommendations, but you can have a question.
Yeah, please, just...
oh, no, we haven't moved them yet, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, you haven't yet?
No.
Sorry. The new locality officers that's going to be around on beaches and the likes, have they got authority to stamp on these dog people and around towns and stuff? Because
I think stamping on it would not be a good idea, but they do have authority to issue tickets.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes,
I don't think my dog would like to be stamped on by any locality officer.
And he wouldn't enjoy stamping on the feces either. But it just needs policing, really. And can they actually police it?
I have more hope of that being policed on beaches this year than ever before, because we will have a very greater number of locality officers out there 7 days a week and approximately 12 hours a day. So yes, there's far more chance this year than there's ever been in the past. I can't say more than that to you, Councillor Taylor.
We have got 6 more locality officers, MMOs, in service this year.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Hawkins, would you like to move the recommendations now?
I'd like to move the recommendation A to E.
Yeah, sorry.
We move this on to the council.
Councillor, we've got a hand up.
Sorry, who's that with a hand up? Because
Councillor Hopwood.
Oh, mine is. I beg your pardon, Councillor Hopwood. Sorry.
It's a comment, not a question. Sorry, so I'll leave it to you.
You've got a comment. So, okay, well, let's move the recommendations, then you can come in. So Councillor Hawkins has moved the recommendations. I'll second them, and I'll bring in Councillor Hopwood with her comment.
Thank you, Chairman. My comment is, I have to say, I am disappointed that we take such a hard stand on dogs on beaches, because we are in a stay-at-home world at the moment, and those people who have dogs and are coming down this way on holiday this year will have to bring their dogs with them, and I think it's just a little bit old-fashioned now not to open up beaches to dogs, because dogs are part of a family. And if you own a dog is like a family member. And if you take it on holiday with you, and most of us will be staying in this country this year, then it's going to restrict going to a beach. So I just think that's a little bit sad.
Okay,
thank you.
Councillor Hawkins, I think, would like to respond to you.
I share Councillor Hopwood's concern about that, and my dogs all over the years have often wondered why they can't walk on the beach that 6 months or a couple of months earlier they were able to. But we have to make certain that we ensure that our beaches are clean for our tourists and for our residents. And as it's so busy in the height of the season, it is best to have these orders. But the issue is to educate our residents and our tourists to pick up. That's what we've got to try and do more and better.
Councillor Baldry.
Yeah, can I just talk about that point before I come to the point I was going to make?
Yes, please do.
People who speak to me about this recognise that Councillor Hopwood and Councillor Hawkins and many other people are responsible dog owners, but not everybody is. And I have had complaints on beaches about dog mess, and more than that, of dogs running loose and jumping up on people, and the owners usually say, oh, he's very friendly, etc. And I know of at least one 3-year-old who's been frightened of dogs for life. So not everybody is a responsible dog owner, and I would totally support the proposals in this order for on beaches.
Thank you, Councillor Baldry. And you wanted to say something else as well?
I would like to move on as a ward member, if I may, Leader, or shall I wait until you've opened it up to other people?
No, you can, as a member of the executive, you can speak now, and then we'll bring other people in after you.
I'm just looking at I've given Councillor Hawkins early notice I'll be up raising this question. 2.710, second bullet point, refers to Butts Park, Newton Ferrers. I do not understand why we are relying on Newton and Noss Parish Council to manage it, because Newton and Noss Parish Council do not have powers of enforcement. There is there are a handful of individuals who use Butts Park playing fields, who allow their dogs to run around, who allow their dogs to perform on the cricket pitch, the football pitch, and also separately on the cricket pitch. And I think it is unfair for us to exclude Butts Park and say, well, Parish Council, get on with it and go out and do a nice conciliatory chat and a cuddle and it'll all be put right. It won't. It needs enforcement.
Councillor Hawkins, you want to reply to that?
I'm looking forward to Councillor Baldry being in his high-vis jacket out in Butts Park, being responsible and enforcing this order. In Newton Ferrers and Butts Park playing fields, the parish council there made it very clear to the council through the consultation that they wanted to impose a higher standard than we Southampton District Council could do. And that is why, in our view, we have done what we have done through that consultation. But if the parish council feel that they are unable to do it, then we can go back in, but we will only enforce it to the national standard. Councillor Baldry is correct, but PSOPOs are the preserve of we, the district council, but parish councils are defined as duty bodies under Part 4 of the Environmental Protection Act, specifically amended by Part 3 of the Clean Neighbourhoods and Environment Act 2005, which I'm sure Councillor Baldry and Councillor Pearce both knew. Which does define that they are able to enforce to a higher standard if they wish.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Always willing to be educated. I mean, we did the consultation on this finished last July. It's taken long enough to get to this stage. Heaven forbid that we have to go back out and again and do a further consultation because of Newton Ferrers. It seems to take an interminable time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baldry. Right, does anybody else want to make a comment? Any comments from the floor on this? I can't see any coming in. So let's go to the vote on the recommendations. Executive members, are you happy?
Sorry, Leader.
Oh, I've got Councillor Long. Got Councillor Long commenting. Yes, Councillor Long.
Thank you, Leader. Just to pass a comment about dogs on beaches. I think specifically we've got Hope Cove and Salcombe in our ward, and by having the controls, we're giving people clear options as to what they can do. And there are obviously children, adults who are uncomfortable with dogs. So in both areas, Hope Cove and Salcombe, we've got the option there for people to take that choice. And as a dog owner, I'm quite pleased to see that option available. And there's, it's not restricting people. I think it's just giving people a good option. So I appreciate what Councillor Hopwood said, but I think in these two locations, there are plenty of options for people to walk their dogs on the beaches, and we're just giving others the opportunity to have a dog-free beach. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I would endorse that. There are a number of dog welcoming beaches in the South Hams, just as there are a few where you can't take dogs. And so, if you have a dog, you go on the ones where you can take a dog. And if you don't have a dog, and you don't want to see dogs, you go to ones where dogs are not permitted. But I think there's a good spread and a good mix, and everybody ought to be happy. But Councillor Hopwood wants to come back.
Yeah, just to say, Chairman, I don't own a dog. I own a fur daughter. So I will take her to where I am allowed to take her. Thank you.
Right, okay. We'll go to the vote then now. Members of the executive, are you in agreement with these recommendations? Yes? Right, I think everybody's agreed on that then. Don't see any dissension. So that is unanimously passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader.
So the next item is the Harbour depot at Batson Creek. I'm really pleased to see the Harbour Master present this afternoon. Very good to have you with us. And Councillor Basta, this is once again over to you, please.
Thank you, Leader. The Soulcombe Harbour Authority currently operates from a depot in Island Street. Current facilities are becoming increasingly unsuitable for the Harbour Authority to undertake their operational duties in a safe and efficient manner, owing to lack of space and restricted vehicle access. The new depot has been designed in close partnership with the Soulcombe Harbour Authority, and as such will create modern, purpose-built, two-storey facility to replace the older and outdated facility located in Island Street. Planning permission for the proposed scheme was obtained in July 2019. The works also include the generation of a new car park entrance and realignment of spaces to mitigate any loss of public spaces. As with the commercial units, the financial position presented within the exempt document represents an up-to-date forecast following a recently completed commercial tendering exercise. Whilst additional capital borrowing is required, the recommendation remains to proceed with the delivery. The financials demonstrate that whilst additional borrowing is needed, the revenue position remains neutral to the position set out at the Soulcombe Harbour Board meeting in January 2019. This is due to the construction price achieved through the additional competitive tendering exercise and the recommendation to reduce the chargeable interest through internal borrowing to 1.5% rather than the higher Public Works Loan Board rate of 2%. This report will also be presented to the Harbour Board at their meeting on Monday the 15th of March. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bastone. Members of the executive, do you have any questions for Councillor Bastone? Oh, deathly silence. Right. Are there any questions from the floor? Still a deadly silence. Councillor Bastone, would you like to move the recommendations in, please?
I'll move the 6 recommendations, which are on the screen for the Harbour Depot at Batson Creek, Soulcombe.
Thank you very much. Right. Members of the executive, do you wish to comment on this?
Sorry, Chair, we haven't got a second yet. Sorry, Chair.
I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the executive, any comments? I'll throw this open to the floor. I have to say, I think it's really exciting. This is at last becoming a reality. I've been waiting for this for so long. Councillor Brazil, you'd like to comment, and as chairman of the Harbour Board, you're welcome to do so.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, obviously, I don't want to preempt what the Harbour Board's going to say on Monday, and we'll listen to that debate. But just to say that yes, we definitely need something like this, and this looks very exciting, and it looks like that the cost is going to be as we thought it was. All right, the capital costs gone up, but the repayment costs are remaining pretty much the same as they were to the amount that we agreed. So hopefully the Harbour Board will be echoing the recommendations of the executive to the full council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brazil. Just one comment I'd like to make on this is that there will be considerable disruption to the Creek car park while this work is going on, and we shall need to work closely with the Town Council to agree parking and that kind of thing, but hopefully most of it will be in the winter when the boats are parked up there anyway. Do we have any further comments from anybody? Right. Well, I think in that case, oh, yeah, Mark, Councillor Long, would you like to comment?
Sorry, Chairman, you can never type quite quickly.
No, I know. Sorry, it's my fault for moving too fast.
I'd just like to echo what you've said and what Councillor Brazil has said is that this is a great opportunity to provide, you know, a boost to the infrastructure for the harbour, and to sort of bring it forward so that the harbour can actually deal with everything that's thrown at it in the years to come. So I welcome this. It's a timely and a good investment, I believe, by this council. It is a good expenditure of money, and hopefully, like, you know, a project like this, that it can actually be brought in on budget or even under the budget that's been allocated for it, but providing an excellent resource for the harbour team to carry on the great job that they already do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. I think an additional thing is that the present premises that the harbour team use, the present harbour workshop, will of course be freed up for other employment uses in Salcombe. So that will be a kind of byproduct benefit of it. Right. Hang on, I've got sorry, there's a comment from Councillor Kemp, but I don't think she wants to speak on it. Right. If there are no further comments, we'll move to the vote on this one. Executive members, do we have your agreement for the recommendations? Right, I'll take that as a yes, a unanimous yes. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the next item, which is item 12. And these are the commercial units at Batson Creek, Salcombe. These are all going to be built out as one programme together, but it is a separate report. So over to you again, Councillor Basta, please.
Thank you, Leader. The recommendation is to proceed with the delivery of 5 new commercial units and associated infrastructure in Batson Creek at Salcombe. The report is a result of exhaustive efforts by SHDC over the last 5 years to try and identify the most viable scheme for delivering these new units. Planning permission for the proposed scheme was obtained in July 2019. The works also include the delivery of critical infrastructure in the form of a substation, new recycling and oil disposal area, and retaining of an operational area for the Harbour Authority. The financial position presented within the exempt document represents an up-to-date forecast following a recently completed commercial tendering exercise. Whilst the revised project budget marginally exceeds the current approval, the recommendation remains to proceed with delivery. It must be recognised that whilst the yield is low, the project aligns well with the investment in area to support economic growth and to foster and protect small businesses in Salcombe. The delivery of 5 new commercial units will begin to address the existing market failures and help to ensure that Salcombe remains a sustainable and viable coastal community for future generations. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Basta. Members of the Executive, any questions for Councillor Basta on this one?
No.
No. Any questions from the floor to Councillor Basta, please? No? Okay, Councillor Brazil.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions on the financing. First of all, there's money there from 106 from something to do in Ermington. If I could just have that sort of explained to me a bit. And secondly, obviously we're talking about a repayment on the capital. It's an internal borrowing. Obviously, the example we had before, that the Salcombe Harbour will be paying that interest. I was just wondering, so just for my own mind, is anyone actually physically paying the percentage of interest on the capital expenditure from the internal borrowing? If you get my drift on that.
I do.
Yes,
That's some really good questions, which I'll pass to Lisa. I think I was going to pass to Dan, but I think Lisa would be better positioned to answer that.
Well, I assume, Councillor Basta, it'll be covered by the rents, but I'll leave that to. Yes, Mrs. Buckle.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Yes, that's correct. So the council will receive the rental income, and then the council will actually make the repayments on the internal borrowing as set out in the exempt business case. So the council is responsible for both sides, for receiving the rental income, but also for the repayments, because even if we internally borrow, we still have to set aside an MRP provision and also the interest rate as well. But that's all done within our own internal accounting. With regards to the section 106, yes, that's also set out in the exempt appendix. So basically what that's doing is the section 106 was earmarked for a scheme at the section 106 with regard to Godwell Lane, Ivy Bridge. That was for the Ermington employment units, and what that's done is actually free up £500,000 of capital receipts. So in terms of this project is being financed through the 780,000 of internal borrowing and £500,000 of capital receipts funding, totaling the 1.28 million budget. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you. We haven't gone into part 2, so I hope we're not disclosing anything we shouldn't be disclosing, because I'm sure we're not, Mrs. Buckle. So members, just to remind you, if you do want to discuss figures, we may have to go into part 2, but at the moment I think we're all right. Councillor Long, you've got a question.
Yes, Chairman. Just a question. We're talking about owning and renting the units and rental at market rate through a competitive tender process. I hope the market rent for the properties is not Salcombe market rate, otherwise they won't be affordable. I hope they are based on something wider than rental values in Salcombe.
I think it'll be rental values as in the South Hams, because we don't have trouble renting our other employment units, Councillor Long. So if based on that sort of a price, we shouldn't have trouble renting these either.
It's, if I may, it's not the trouble of renting them. I think it's the affordability, and I think for once we need to have
I take that point, but that's the point I'm trying to make, that, you know, small businesses in the rest of the South Hams can afford the rent. So hopefully it should work out okay. But I agree with you that the important thing is to get the right businesses in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Okay. Do we have any further questions from the floor? Councillor Basta, would you like to move the recommendations?
I will move the recommendations 1 to 5 on the screen for the commercial units at Batson Creek, Salcombe.
I'm not going to second them because, as a ward member, I can't vote on this one. So could I have a seconder from the other? Thank you very much. Right. Any members of the executive, do you want to comment on this, please? No? Do we have any comments from the floor rather than questions? Yes, Councillor Brazil.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's really just echoing what Mark said, and that is that we've specifically wanted these business units down here. I mean, ideally they're not the best place to put business units in respect of sort of access and things, unless they're marine. But we may find that some of the marine businesses are unable to afford them, and then we get a company that can pay higher rents using them for storage or some such facility. So I very much hope that we emphasise the fact that these are for marine-based businesses, and as such, if rather than just going out to the highest bidder is what I'm saying. Yeah. So we'll see what happens when it happens. But those are my sentiments about it, and I think the reason why they're there is for a marine. So let's keep them marine.
Councillor Brazil, as chairman of DM, you will understand the use classes orders better than most people, and you will also understand that the new Class E really makes life difficult for us. But I do think that canny use of this and businesses joining together to co-rent or cohabit some of these premises may well be the answer. And I think that's some work that we need to do with people in Salcombe as these units are going up and being let. But I see that as a way possibly round the problem. But I'm afraid that central government is not making life easy for us at the moment. Councillor Basta.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Councillor Brazil that when we set out on this, we did need them for marine usage, and I think officers have listened to what we've said today, and they will try and achieve that if they can. But of course, at the end of the day, we got to make this scheme pay for itself. So there is a balancing act to be done, but I understand where you're coming from with marine industry.
Councillor Brazil, we all understand where you're coming from. We all sympathise with what you're saying, but there are difficulties in actually turning that into a reality. It is up to the marine businesses to come forward with canny ideas to take these units. Right, do we have any further comments? In which case we'll pass to the vote. And I want to make it clear that I'm not voting on this one. I didn't vote on the last one either, as it's in my ward. But the rest of the members of the executive, are you in agreement with these recommendations?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Everybody all right? Okay, fine. Thank you very much. I'll take that as unanimous from you. Item 13, the release of Section 106 funds for an affordable housing project at Butter Park, Ivy Bridge. Councillor Basta, once again, and let nobody say that the Assets Department in this council is not working overtime. We've had 5 papers in a row now. Councillor Basta.
Thank you, Leader. The purpose of this report is to approve the release or allocation of Section 106 funds for an affordable housing project at Butter Park, Ivy Bridge. The amount is £167,200 from the contribution from Cornwood Road in Ivy Bridge to spend on an affordable housing project for adults with learning difficulties at Butt Park at Ivy Bridge on land owned by Ivy Bridge Town Council, subject to planning approval. The council's financial procedure rules require that where expenditure is proposed in excess of £30,000, that this be authorised by the executive. Ivy Bridge Town Council purchased the land occupied by the former residential care home at Butt Park and Brook Road, Ivy Bridge, from Devon County Council in 2018. Working in partnership with Live West, the proposal is for a 100% affordable housing scheme. The scheme will provide a total of 28 units consisting of 21 affordable rent/shared ownership homes to be owned by Live West and 7 units to be owned by Ivy Bridge Town Council, which will be 6 affordable rent, 1-bedroom homes for independent adults with learning difficulties and a training house/hub to support their transition to independent living. This requested Section 106 money of £167,200 will specifically fund these 7 properties for adults with learning disabilities. The rest of the site will be owned and managed by Live West. Some Section 106 agreements have clauses allowing the developers to be repaid the money if it is not spent within a certain time. Thus, there is a risk of communities losing out if this is not spent. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Basta. And any questions from members of the executive? Any questions from the floor on this excellent project? No. Councillor Basta, would you like to move the recommendation?
In that case, I'll move the recommendation for the release of 106 funds for an affordable housing project at Butter Park, Ivy Bridge.
Well, I'm more than happy to second that. I think this is a really excellent project, and really everything that our housing strategy that we passed this afternoon is about. Thank you. I've got a hand up here. Hang on, who is it? Because Councillor Baldry.
No, just going to endorse everything you said. Reading about this, I think it is a brilliant project and a very good use of the 106 money. And I think I see that a couple of the Ivy Bridge councillors are in the meeting, and I'd love to hear what they've got to say.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Baldry. Councillor Hopwood.
Thank you, Chairman. I think we need to just congratulate Ivy Bridge Town Council for this scheme. It is absolutely fantastic, and it's good to see a town council working in a forward-thinking way for the benefit of its community and for those in the community who aren't as, who need this type of accommodation. And what a role Ivy Bridge is on. They've got this fantastic scheme. They've got the Ivy Bridge regeneration coming on. So I think what's going into Ivy Bridge at the moment is totally commendable, and I just well done them.
Thanks, Councillor Hopwood. Right, I've got Councillor Abbott, I think, and then let's have Councillor Abbott first, and then I'll get back to the chat box, and then Councillor Pringle.
I can only agree with everything that you're saying. It's great that the money is available to help this scheme come forward, and it's just an excellent activity for those who are less advantaged in society.
Thank you, Councillor Abbott. Councillor Pringle?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's been a long road for this one, but it's an important one, and it as you say, it just shows the partnership going forward, and it's an excellent scheme.
I think we'd all endorse that.
I'd also just like to also praise Irish Town Council for all their hard work in making this happen.
Yep, I think we'd all endorse that too, Councillor Pringle. Well done, Ivy Bridge Town Council. And let's hope they move forward without too many hitches on this programme. But presumably Live West are going to build the houses for them, are they? As if they are, yes, they shouldn't have too many problems. It should go forward quite smoothly. Good.
Yeah,
excellent.
They are. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Right. So I think we're ready to move to the vote on this one, and I'm sure. Well, I hope we're all in favour of it. Some members of the executive. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Thanks very much. So, final item, Councillor Basta, the grant of the long lease at Wallwell.
Yeah, it's to do with Wallwell in Plymouth. In 1996, a 125-year lease was granted by the District Council to Bickley Parish Council. The lease was for them to construct a community centre and a car park, which they went ahead and did. When the build was completed, the car park was physically larger than the land demised under the lease. Looking at the attached plans, which are in the appendices, the first one shows the original lease demise edged in red. Ignore the blue on the plan. And the second one shows the proposed and correct demise edged in red. It is this additional land that we are working to wrap up into the lease. The only way to do that is to surrender and re-grant the lease. And because there is 100 years left unexpired, officers do not have the delegated powers to do so. Also, the original lease did not permit any subletting, but Bickley Parish Council has done so, and the centre is now very well managed by the Wallwell Community Resource Trust. So a sublet to this organisation will be permitted under the new lease. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Any questions from executive members?
It's basically a tidying up exercise.
It is indeed. That's what I'd call it too. So no questions. Any questions from the floor on this? Councillor Basta, would you like to move the recommendation?
I move the recommendation and request for grant of a long lease renewal.
Second.
Right. Thank you very much. Does anybody want to comment on this? Executive members first. Councillor Hopwood, have you got anything to say?
Just to say, Chairman, I'm glad we're giving delegated authority to get on and get this done for the parish council, because it has been ongoing for so many years. It's ridiculous. So I'm just glad it's going to be tidied up.
Yep.
And I won't be voting on it because it's in my ward.
No, okay. And I do think this is a very good example of how our estates department is tidying things up, on how the governance of the council is really improving through all this kind of tidying up and checking up on leases and things. So I'm really pleased to see this. Has anybody else got any comments? Because if not, we will move to the vote on it. Any comments from the floor? Anybody typing? Can't see anybody typing. Okay, let's move to the vote then. Without Councillor Hopwood, do we all approve, the remainder of us, the four of us? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, that's unanimously approved, and that brings us to the end of this afternoon's proceedings. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for attending, everybody. And good afternoon, goodbye. And